You know, there's an argument that they're not even of this earth. Like scientists, they can't explain where eels came from. I know that sounds crazy. Maybe I watch too much Instagram reels.
You have something none of us have.
Come on, bud! Watch out! Hiccup!
The opportunity to play Stoick as, dare I say, for real, you know, not just his voice. I love how he was animated, but a lot of the time, let me in there, you know, give me the costume, let me show more of who he is. And I feel like taking it to live action, that's what all the actors get to do, is to give it a lot more subtlety, a lot more emotion, you know, embody the whole character, make them even more relatable. So when you have that, and then you have this incredible world building that's going on, but you're really with the actors on that journey, then you're totally taking the audience on an even bigger ride, if that was even possible, than they did in the animated.
Jay Baruchel and America Ferrera obviously had a lot of fans of their voice acting in the original.
Yes.
Did either of you speak to them beforehand? Did you get any advice?
We've kind of like strangely spoken to them through Dean.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so, you know, Dean like tells them like they're such huge fans, and then they'll respond and be like, oh, we love, like, you know, it's like a very lovely situation we have going on, but neither of us have spoken to them directly.
We've not got the chance to meet them in person,
That's
but
pending.
it is pending, and I'm so
We
excited.
will make it happen one day.
I will
be a
show
good
up to
day.
Jay's house.
We will find you. No, but I think we would both love to, and both such huge fans of their work.
Obviously, Dean invented the first three films. You know, he wrote the first and directed the first three films. So I was like always looking to him in terms of guidance, and think it was important to honour, as you said, the kind of legacy of what Craig did. But I think if you work within those parameters, anything you do is fair game. I think that was, you know, partly one of the things that made me want to come and do this, is when you're with Dean and he's so generous and he's smart and he loves it, you know, he loves these characters. And it's like when he then says, you can do what do you want to do, you know? It's like, oh, okay, well, this is going to be great.
In the animated movies, like, I'm such a perfectionist. I love Stoick in the animated movies, but often his speeches, there's only so much you can give to a speech. But when you're actually there standing in front of hundreds of Vikings, you can give so many different levels of pontificating and entertaining and being funny and self-deprecating and manipulative and all those things. But I think more than that was the quietness behind that. It's almost like he's a held breath. There's a wall that Stoick is, and here you can show more of the cracks in the wall and that dam slowly kind of giving way. So the quieter, more emotional bits, the father-son relationship, that's so powerful in this movie. It was powerful in the animated movies, but I think we had a chance with the actors to take it to another level, and for me to show the leader, but behind that, the kind of quiet voice behind the roar was fun to play with.
And this is obviously the first live-action DreamWorks movie. Are there any other DreamWorks animated movies you'd love to see turned into live action?
Yeah, you said such a good one.
Oh yeah, Rise of the Guardians.
We think Mason should be Jack Frost. I think that would genuinely be such a good idea.
That's always been a dream of mine.
And Mason would be such a good Shrek.
You should play Donkey.
Stop. Have you watched Paddington?
Yes.
Have you actually watched?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, everybody's.
Yes. I don't believe a word out of that mouth.
The reign of the dragons! It's right here, right now!
I'm the first Viking who wouldn't kill a dragon.
First to ride one, though.
You know, the time spent with Mason and being in that amazing set, which is, what was it called, like Gobber's Forge. That was amazing. When Dean took me through there before we started shooting, it was like, this is fantastic. It's like every drawer and cupboard is full of Viking stuff, and it's just like weapons everywhere. It's like, he said, what can you find in this space that will be fun and funny and we can use? And it's like, okay, let's shoot.
Our sets were all in the studio, so the back lot was actually super muddy. You don't see that from the movie, but It was a pretty wet winter in Belfast, but then you climb onto those sets and they're absolutely magical. But no, we did take some trips over to the coast. But the kids got out more than me. All my stuff was all in those sets. So I'm not complaining about it because the sets were incredible.
It was all really
pretty
cool.
beautiful,
We went to
especially the
Giant's
landscape.
Causeway.
Yeah, that was nice.
Which is
Yeah,
really
I forgot about that we went.
That was so early on.
Yeah, that was very early on.
We shot the kind of old Game of Thrones backlock, and that was amazing. And it's right underneath like a working shipyard. So what I could see sometimes when we were doing takes was just like men welding a ship together.
The real life version.
It was
of How to Train Your
great.
Dragon
Yeah.
happening.
It was actual Viking.
When you were off the sets, the mud was this thick. You're like, and your boots going, getting stuck. You know, somebody come, give me a push. Especially me, because my costume was so heavy. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going anywhere anymore. It took over an hour to put the costume on, and it wasn't just like, oh, it takes time. It was pulled, like and clipped and layer after layer, and then the helmet and the beard was 5 bits, and so it was 3.5 hours in total. So it did take a while. And the costume was £90. It felt powerful in it, you know. So you did. I walked on set and I felt transformed into Stoick, but for sure there was a lot of bitching about how heavy it is. Like, when are we finishing? Because this is insane.
Call me boring,
Boring.
but I'm just excited to see some real, live dragons up close. You know, I could do without the permanent injuries and...
Oh, where's the glory in that?
Yeah, it's only fun if you get a scar out of it.
I know, right? Pain. Love it.
If you could soundtrack this movie or the filming of this movie with one song, what would you pick?
I
That's
just
too
do think
cliche,
the soundtrack
right?
is so spot on. It's actually really difficult.
This
Specifically
movie,
this movie, I
with
think
any
it's
other soundtrack, just no.
Jaws.
Just no. Oh, maybe. You know what?
It
You're
would
on
be
to
kind
something.
of cool if he put, I don't know, where it would kind of change.
It'd be-
Toothless would
yeah,
suddenly
it'd
be
be really
really
funny.
menacing.
Well, to be fair, he does sort of look like a shark.
A little bit.
On the way to set or like before scenes, I would put my AirPods in and I would just listen to the soundtrack just to kind of get in that world, because what John Powell did with the score is so incredible and so magical. So just listening to that kind of gets me in, you know, the dragon training mood.
I hate to say this, I feel like I'm belying Scotland, you know, because there's a great band, not the Wolf Tones, but Wolfstone, who play Scottish music, and they're really magical, and some of their music would go well with this. But when I think of this, because you go up north a bit and it's Vikings, Sigur Rós, and maybe, you know, they have the album, I think it's like an unnamed album. Every song is just a bracket. The third song on the unnamed album of Sigur Rós is perfect.
Maybe I can email you the answer later, but my brain's, I'm like, oh, buffering.
The dragons hate eels. I was curious if there was like a food or an item that made you run away from something like they run away from the eels.
Fennel would be my eels.
Fish. I love fishing. I love catching fish. Don't like eating them.
Eels. You know, there's an argument that they're not even of this earth. Like, scientists, they can't explain where eels came from. I know that sounds crazy. Maybe I watch too much Instagram reels.
I kind of like eel though, to be fair. I love an eel when it's just done on like a little Japanese barbecue.
Oh, I have something that it's not a smell, but it's like a sensory thing. Nails, chalk, just honestly chalk in general.
Oh, it doesn't have to be food?
Well, that's just my one, just the thought of just chalk in general, just like, I can't just quite describe to you the feeling that it gives me in my heart. It's just anguish. I just hate chalk.
Everything we know about dragons is wrong.
Sometimes when you make a film, you go and sit and watch it. Often you can be quite critical of what you did or what you didn't do or jokes you missed. But I went and I sat and I watched this film and I forgot all that. I just watched it and it was bloody great. My partner was like, I feel really joyful. I remember going to watch with my brother Rocky 3 in like the 80s. And coming out of the cinema, me and him were like pretending to box and stuff. This had a similar kind of thing, so I came out of the cinema, I was like, that was great. And I hadn't felt that, you know, since Rocky 3.
Oh, it's just warm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel warm, you know?
Fire. The fire of a dragon, perhaps.
I'm like, I get heartburn. Like, I'm thinking, no, just warm.
Heat stroke.
There's so many moments where you're like, oh my God. I've got my publicist over there who was, I thought somebody was having an attack in the middle. This is what I heard, no joke. And I went, oh, somebody's having, and I turn around and it's the bit where I say, no matter what, son, no matter what. she was just overwhelmed with emotion. I had to hold her. I'm like, oh my God. I was partly like, you okay? And partly like, shut up. But there's a lot of reactions like that. You can't ask for more in a movie that can be so breathtaking, and just cinematic, but yet really take you on an emotional ride with so many different characters. I want this movie to be the spirit of the original movie, so it's a nostalgic feeling, but for it completely to be its own movie and its own beast. And I don't want anybody to be in the middle of this, and I don't think they are, thinking of the animated movie. You're in the middle of this like, oh my God, oh wow, oh that's good. Laughing, crying, screaming, cheering, and having your breath taken away. Yes, there's bits that are similar, but really I think it's a whole fresh movie to itself.